2 and take 3 out of 4 from the Red Sox.
All right, let me get the perfunctories out of the way. Couple things I want to get to tonight. First and foremost, some of the events that happened between the Red Sox and the Yankees, specifically on Saturday. I would love people's thoughts on them. If you saw them, if you didn't, I'll explain them to you in short order here. And I'll tell you this, there is the possibility at the moment that Alex Cora is facing a disciplinary measure from Major League Baseball for throwing deliberately at Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge in the game on Saturday, retaliating for what the Red Sox perceived as the Yankees throwing at Rafael Devers. We'll get to that momentarily. 617-779-0985. We'll open up your phones right away. I do want to get to Tristan Casas later in the show, if we have time. We started this discussion on the Friday Roundtable with Matt McCarthy and Tyler Milliken. Tristan Casas, it's a Monday. Tristan Casas, mentioned in trade rumors by Kenny Rosenthal, The Athletic on Friday. We'll revisit those because it is a fascinating, what's the right word I'm looking for? U-turn, shift in direction potentially from the Red Sox. Where's the story coming from? Why is it out there? Are the Red Sox trying to accomplish something with Tristan Casas? Also worth getting into later in the show. But we start with this. The Red Sox lost 3 out of 4 to the Yankees over the weekend. They remain 4.5 out of the wild card spot with 12 to play, 75-75 on their way to 81-81. For all intents and purposes, I think we all believe that the season is over. Barring some sort of historic, miraculous turnaround, the season will end in 2 weeks. At the end of next week, it's over. And the Red Sox will be in the same spot they've been in effectively for the last 5 years, give or take. It won't be a last place finish, but it'll be an extremely mediocre team that has played 500 baseball since the start of 2019. How that changes is open to debate, and by all means, if you want to discuss that, we can do that as well. The big picture is certainly a topic. Where is this offseason going? What types of moves can they make? And this does relate to Casas in some way, shape, or form. Now that I got that part out of the way, the perfunctories, 4.5 out, 12 to play, 75-75, another 500 season in the books. The good stuff, the interesting stuff in this series happened on Saturday. It happened to be the Red Sox only win, but that really has nothing to do with it. Has more to do with the events that took place at Yankee Stadium. I'm going to try to give you, for those of you that didn't see it, or hear about it, I'm going to give it to you in reverse order. So, the Yankees led on Saturday 1-0 in the 4th inning. To that point, Gerrit Cole was dealing. He was dominating the Red Sox. And the Red Sox had base runners, but Cole had faced the minimum number of batters through the first 3 innings. He then retired Jarren Duran at the start of the 4th, and again, had 1 out, bases empty, and a 1-0 lead. 1 out, bases empty, 1-0 lead. He intentionally walked Rafael Devers. And just to give you a refresher of history that you already know, if you follow the Red Sox, and you certainly follow the Red Sox and Yankees, Rafael Devers had owned Gerrit Cole in his career prior to that at bat. 14 for 41, okay, which is just under 333, just under it. 14 for 41. 8 home runs in those 14 hits, 15 strikeouts. So Devers came to bat, again, bases empty, Red Sox trailing 1-0, Cole having dominated the game to that point. And I should tell you that in his first at-bat, actually, you know what, I'm going to hold on to that detail at the moment. Here's the at-bat as it was called by the MLB Network, Matt Vasgersian and Tom Verducci.
Sorry, Tony, I have the Yes Network.
No, not of the which at bat are you talking about, Jimmy? I'm talking about Devers' at bat when he was intentionally walked. We don't have that in there?
I did not see that, Tony.
Don't worry.
Did you email it to me?
I thought I did, but no worries, I may not have. So I'll tell everybody what happened. That essentially Cole stood on the mound, put 4 fingers up in the air. Devers was granted first base. So to that point, Cole was dominating. The Yankees elected to intentionally walk Devers with nobody on in the 1 out.
I have it, Tony. I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Rafi Devers with his big career numbers at Yankee Stadium, his big career numbers against Garrett Cole.
He's putting him on. He's intentionally walking it.
With nobody out.
It was Garrett Cole who put up the 4 fingers.
With one out and the base is empty, an intentional walk.
Garrett Cole put up 4 fingers and pointed to first base. I want no part of you.
Okay, again, Verducci got it right. I want no part of you. This is the kind of stuff that happened, by the way, when Barry Bonds was at the peak of the steroid era out in San Francisco. Bonds was, he walked 232 times, I think it was, one season, and still hit 70 home runs because anytime there was a pitch in the strike zone, he was hitting it out of the ballpark. It reached the point where people didn't want to pitch to him. This is the point that it reached for Garrett Cole with Rafael Devers. The Yankees ended up losing the game 7-1. That particular decision was the topic of discussion after the game with Garrett Cole. So, Jimmy, if we could get the Cole comment on why he walked Devers, and I thought that this was an interesting exchange. And can I also say this? I was astonished at how cooperative Garrett Cole was with the media. So in New York, they apparently love this guy, which I didn't know. They love him because he answers questions directly and honestly. So he's a media favorite down there in New York. I don't know if the fans love him because his performance has been inconsistent, at least this year. And at times, he's been difficult. Certainly, the Red Sox knocked him around in the playoffs a few years ago. You get the idea. But the media in New York loves Garrett Cole. Okay, here's the post-game exchange.
You guys were up by a run at that point in time. Even if he hits it out, it's tied at 1 apiece. Just why was that spot the right spot for you?
Well, we were in the tunnel before the inning and had discussed that if Duran was retired, we were going to stick to aggressively, intentionally walk him, and that was the plan. And then during the inning, I looked to the dugout and stuck with the plan. If I make pitches after that and I continue to execute at a high level, then the plan works. But evidently the plan didn't work. So, I need to make better pitches afterwards and in order for it to work, really.
You talk
Jimmy,
about
can we pause there for 1 second? Okay, because you heard Cole say, I looked into the dugout and we stuck with the plan. I discussed it before the game, and then I looked into the dugout. Now, the follow-up question here, I just want you to know that detail before the follow-up question. I think this is Kim Jones. It sounds like Kim Jones doing the interview with Cole. So, Jimmy, let's pick it up from there.
In order for it to work, really.
You talk about the plan in between innings. Who are those discussions with in that spot?
Yeah, I mean, those discussions are happening with myself and the pitching coach. Those discussions were happening with, Aaron as well prior to the game.
Okay, so he mentions Aaron Boone directly there. And that's the part of me that's important. Because you heard Tom Verducci say in the play-by-play, Garrett Cole called for the walk on the mound. Cole is asked about it, and this is why the media likes Cole. He was pretty thorough in his explanation there. Talked to the pitching coach about it. Looked in the dugout, and we had discussed it with Aaron before the game. So he tells you everybody's involved. Manager, pitching coach. This is why we intentionally walked Rafael Devers. Aaron Boone was asked about this after the game, and Jimmy, this is Boone on the walk, not on the hit by pitch. Aaron Boone was asked about it after the game, and here was his answer.
Up until that intentional walk, he was obviously cruising. Is this just a matter of overthinking the situation and just
probably a little? Yeah, I think that's fair. A little overthinking the situation. Let's get after it, and I should have been more clear about that.
Okay, so again, and so it feels to me like Aaron Boone didn't want to walk Devers in that situation. And the way he says it is, overthinking it. I should have been more clear. Well, what would he have to be clear about if he wanted him walked? He wouldn't have to be clear about anything if he wanted him walked. So to me, there was some sort of disagreement in the dugout or in the clubhouse after the game involving Garrett Cole, Aaron Boone, and the pitching coach, not necessarily in that order. Somebody in that group said to Cole, why did we end up putting him on again? Because we were up 1-0 at the time. Cole says, well, this is what we talked about before the series started. This is what we wanted to do before the game started. Then I looked in the dugout and said, oh, sure, this is what we want to do. And Boone says, well, I should have been more clear. So they clearly were not on the same page with the decision to walk Devers intentionally. It cost the Yankees a game. Beyond that, it triggered a response from the Red Sox that got Aaron Judge thrown at in the 6th inning. Okay, so we're going to get to that when we come back. 617-779-0985. I see Ray and Rivera on the line as well. We have open lines, 617-779-0985. And I do want to get to Tristan Casas also later in the baseball hour.
to be playing every single day out there. I want Aaron Judge to be out there every single day, regardless of what he does against us. That's where our sport is at its best, and Rafi got hit. They can say whatever they want. What the intentional walk was loud and clear. I don't want to face him. So the second pitch of the game against Rafi, you see it, it was intentional. I'm not gonna back up. It was intentional.
So again, that was Alex Cora's take on the whole thing. And let me see if I can explain it to you a little more clearly. Devers was hit by a pitch in the first inning of the game. In the fourth inning, with the bases empty and the Yankees leading 1-0 with 1 out, Gerrit Cole intentionally walked Devers, did not want to pitch to him. In the Red Sox dugout, they then looked at it and said, "Oh, we get it. You want nothing to do with this guy. So when he got hit by a pitch in the first inning, you did it on purpose." And if you see the highlight of the pitch, it was a cut fastball in the inner part of the plate. Devers stands up on the plate. And Cole hit him basically like right on the butt cheek, or, got him right in a spot you would think if you were going to hit a guy, that's where you'd hit him. So Devers took his base. Cora says when we saw the walk, we knew that the hit by pitch was on purpose. So you know what happened? In the sixth inning, the Red Sox threw a Judge. And Alex Cora the next day was asked about whether or not the Red Sox would retaliate. And I guess the question to Cora was, do you consider the intentional walk and the hit by pitch incident a closed case? Cora replied it was closed yesterday around the sixth inning, which is when the Red Sox threw a Judge. So there is now an investigation by Major League Baseball to determine whether the Red Sox threw a Judge on purpose and whether Cora will be disciplined as a result. Now, I don't know how MLB is going to handle it. Frankly, I don't care. And you probably don't either. Cora gets a game. Cora gets 2 games. Could be that both sides get something, in which case it's really kind of stupid by the Yankees to do it because they're the ones that have more at stake. The Red Sox are effectively out of the race. So just to wrap this up, Boone was asked about this after the game. Said Cora said that you did it on purpose, that Cole threw at Devers on purpose. Boone denied it. I should tell you that Cole also denied it, but here is what Boone said.
Cole threw at Devers intentionally the first time. Do you have any concerns about that? Any reaction?
Yeah, I definitely wasn't throwing at him. If you look, especially today, Rafi was right on the line, and he, threw a cutter trying to get it in there, and didn't. So, no, I don't think there was any intent from Gerrit there.
Do you worry about carryover tomorrow?
No, I hope not. We're trying to get outs. We're trying to get into the playoffs just like them. And so we're not playing that kind of a game.
Okay, I disagree. I think they were playing that kind of a game, or at least Gerrit Cole was. And again, from the Yankees standpoint, whether it was Cole on his own, the pitching coach was involved, whether the manager was involved, I don't know. But no matter what, stupid. Stupid. The Yankees have something at stake. The Red Sox don't. You want to get into a beanball war or a brushback war, call it whatever you want, because the pitchers weren't up at the head, but you want to get into that kind of thing? Fine. No problem. I'm all for it. The game could use entertainment value. I don't want to see anybody get hurt. I'm no different than anyone else in that regard. But a couple of sides want to get angry about you throw at our best hitter, we'll throw at yours. Fine. Good theater, good drama. We'll have lots to talk about. I would love it. Love it. Stupid by the Yankees. Stupid. The Red Sox apparently even went to the extent where they said, you know what? Might end up being a good thing for us. We get into some sort of brushback. Maybe we wake up, we go on a little bit of a winning streak, and something crazy happens. Wrong. But they did throw a Judge, and which I should say, by the way, they missed him. Brian Bayo, 2-seam fastball, went behind Judge's legs, and it was down by his shins. So I would also say this. If you're going to throw at someone, throw at someone. Apparently, Pedro Martinez didn't teach Bayo that. If you're going to throw, hit him. Hit him right in the ass or in the thigh or wherever. Leave him with a good bruise. If you think your guy's getting thrown at in Devers, then drill the guy. Don't miss him. That said, I know many of you are more concerned about the long-term plight of the Red Sox, which brings me to Tristan Casas. But first, Ray and Revere is on the line, 617-779-0985 if anyone else wants to jump in. Again, Ray and Revere. Ray, what do you got?
Thank you, Tony. I want to talk long-term. You brought up Casas, and I've heard you mention potentially trading Duran. So here's my take. I think they're a playoff team if they improve the left side of the infield defense and bring in a power bat, a right-handed power bat. And frankly, Duran's actually fourth in the major leagues in WAR. He's ahead of Ohtani. Okay, I would not trade that kid. I'd move him to a corner outfield position or leave him in center. But ultimately, the guys I would be moving, Tony, would be Casas, Rafaela, and I'd also move Yoshida, even if I have to eat his contract. But fundamentally, they need a number.
Ray, I'm going to put you on hold for a second, okay? Forget Yoshida. Nobody wants Yoshida. Nobody wants him. And Rafaela has limited value. He's got some value. When I say trade, I'm talking about the big prospects and the big young players, centerpiece young players. Casas, Meyer, Roman Anthony, Kyle Teal, if you want to include Christian Campbell, who's right-handed. But the Red Sox have an abundance of left-handed hitting prospects. Okay, forget Yoshida. No one's taking Yoshida. Go ahead. What do you got?
Yeah, so from that list, Tony, I would actually move Meyer before I move Duran. Duran's an established major leaguer. He's got like 350 total bases. This guy is a complete player, and he's got 4 years of team control. But, I would just want to make this point. I really don't trust Breslow on the talent evaluation phase, trading Chris Sale, who'll win the Cy Young, for a guy who can't play. That's my biggest concern with this team, in that Dombrowski was the ultimate guy in terms of player evaluation, and they don't seem to have a guy right now. But those are my takes, Tony. Thank you.
Yeah, so Ray, I'm worried about that too. I have said this over and over now. We've been on the air for 15 years, and I think I said this at one of the early stages of our existence here at 98.5. The biggest decisions you make in any organization, but let's stick to baseball. The biggest decisions you make are on your own minor leaguers. You have to decide who can play, who can't. Who are the real prospects? Who are the fake prospects? And a good general manager can distinguish and determine the difference between those things. So I'll give you an easy, lots of examples. There was a third baseman the Red Sox traded for years ago from the Atlanta Braves, whose name was Andy Marte. I think that was in the Renteria deal. Might have been.
Yeah, it was straight up.
Okay, Edgar Renteria for Andy Marte. Everybody regarded Andy Marte as a prospect, except for one team, apparently, the Braves. He couldn't play. Not really. Never turned into the player that anyone thought he was going to be. So that was it. Done. Red Sox lose the trade, but the Braves are renowned for this. Historically, that was under John Schuerholz. Now, obviously, Schuerholz is a Hall of Fame executive. The Braves, though, have always had good command of their own system and rarely have parted with a prospect. More often than not, have not parted with a prospect who has come back to bite them in the ass. I'm not saying it's 100%. The good organizations keep their real prospects. They're too valuable to trade. We know they can play. It's just a matter. In fact, you err on that side of it usually. Sometimes you keep a guy and he's not as good. The Cleveland Indians years ago, and I use this example too. When the Red Sox got Pedro Martinez from the Montreal Expos, the pitching prospect that Montreal really wanted was Jarrett Wright from the Cleveland Indians. Wright had pitched in the postseason and had shown great promise as a youngster, fearlessness in October. He pitched in the playoffs and opened eyes against the Yankees, no less. When the time came to deal Jarrett Wright for Pedro Martinez, the Indians would not do it. The Expos wanted him. The Indians wouldn't do it. The Red Sox were willing to give up their best pitching prospect for Pedro. It changed the history of the franchise. Had he gone to Cleveland, they would have won a World Series. I believe that. They were loaded, the Indians. So the point is, Cleveland got it wrong. But they erred on the side of keeping their prospect. The Red Sox now are in a spot where all these guys are left-handed, and I don't think they can keep them all, even if they wanted to. A, in some cases, there is position redundancy. And B, you're going to have a lineup full of left-handed hitting rookies, and you can't bring them all up at once either. You're going to need some right-handed hitters, not to mention some pitching, which you don't have in your system. The best way for them to get it is to trade some of these guys. Just to touch on Ray's point, the reason I suggested trading Jarren Duran is not because I think Jarren Duran can't play. Because Ray's point is right on. And that is that Jarren Duran is at the big league level. He has proven in the majors now. He's been an all-star in the major leagues. He's also 28. Jarren Duran's not a prospect anymore. He's in his peak years. And I don't think the Red Sox are going to sign him to a long-term deal. I might be wrong. Maybe he'll sign. But once he hits free agency, so you've only got 3 or 4 years with him. I think that Ray said 4 years. I'll double check that. He might be right. It might be 4 more after this one, in which case that's a pretty good size window. But again, he's a left-handed bat, so it's Duran, Casas, Meyer, Wilyer Abreu, Roman Anthony. Did I say Kyle Teel? Have I already said him?
You did not.
Mikey Romero is also a middle infielder who's sort of blossoming now at Double-A. I just rattled off 6 or 7 left-handed bats. Someone's got to go. And incredibly, no one ever would have thought Tristan Casas would be one of the ones you'd consider moving, but we have to believe now that the Red Sox are also considering moving Tristan Casas. The question is why? Why? And we'll hit on some of that when we come back. Back here on the Baseball Hour. I want to get to something Kenny Rosenthal of The Athletic wrote on Friday about Tristan Casas and the Red Sox need for pitching. And again, the fact that Casas is now being floated out there should raise your eyebrows. You should be looking at that saying, well, where's that coming from? Kenny Rosenthal is not just some mudslinger who's throwing wet toilet paper against the wall and trying to get it to stick. Kenny's not throwing crap out there if he doesn't have some whisper somewhere that it's been talked about or speculated on, or throw it out there and see what kind of nibbles we get on the player. He wouldn't do it. It could be coming from the Seattle side, could be coming from the Red Sox side. Who knows? But if Rosenthal puts it out there, it's coming from somewhere. That's all I'm telling you. We have a few of you on the line, 617-779-0985. So we'll get to Casas here in 1 minute. Alex in Cambridge. Alex, what do you got?
Yeah, well, I like to hear your baseball show, but there's not enough pressure on the Red Sox. And the only time to win, and they were sort of close at the trade deadline. And the only thing they got was Cora for the acquisition. And now all the players are either burnt out or, like last night or 2 days ago when Devers got, walked and whatever. I thought they'd win last night, but they didn't. So they've lost their intensity, and that's probably because nobody in Boston sports is talking about them. You know?
Yeah, so Alex, look, I don't entirely disagree with you, but let me ask you a question. When you say there's got to be pressure on them, where does that pressure have to come from?
Well, it was put on by Cora in the first half of the season. And when Cora signed his deal, and also maybe the young guys just don't know how to do it. They need obviously some veterans. Classically, the other day, when Connor Wong bunted for a single, okay? A catcher bunting for a single. And then the guys after him couldn't do anything to bring everybody in. Somebody needs to teach these young guys to do something.
Okay, so Alex, I appreciate the call. I would tell you that I'm not sure there's a whole hell of a instruction going on at any level in Major League Baseball in any organization anymore. But that's sort of a different argument for a different day. If you're talking about putting pressure on the Red Sox, and you mean someone internally, Rafael Devers did some of it in spring training, calling out the organization for not doing enough. But at the end of the day, you know who it's going to be? People like me and you. That's it. Because the players want to win. They do. If they want to win bad enough, they say something, but at the end of the day, they're making millions of dollars, so they're going to go home happy. They might be upset at the losing, some more than others, but they're all laughing on the way to the bank. So the pressure's going to have to come from people in the market who won't tolerate it. I've been screaming about this for 6 years. Not enough. They're not doing enough. They're not giving you a representative product for what this market deserves. And when I say deserves, given the level of interest relative to other baseball markets, but maybe I'm wrong. So the Red Sox have neutered and spayed their fan base so badly that television ratings this year, I think, were at the lowest they've been in a long, long time. I've given you this number over and over and over again, but the bottom line is that compared to where they were in 2007, 15 years ago, when they won their second World Series under this ownership, TV ratings now are 1/5 or 1/6 of where they were at that time. So nobody's watching the game to put pressure on them? True. The Red Sox have sort of cultivated that environment. People have stopped caring. I was just talking about this thing with Rafael Devers on Saturday and the Yankees. How many people do you think saw it? I'm telling you, not many. Because not many of you know it even went on. And I'm not blaming you for it. Other stuff going on this time of year, college football, the NFL's back, so everyone's focused on different things. If you were to ask a lot of people, how did the Red Sox do this past weekend? Most of them don't know. I am in a position here for an hour every day here, 6 to 7 during baseball season. I got to give you what's going on with the Red Sox. They're 4.5 out with 12 to play. There were 3 teams in front of them. I don't think they're getting in. Do you? But by all means, pressure, yes, I'll say the same thing I said last year at this time. How many off seasons are the Red Sox going to have where they do nothing and just let it go? And when they say we'll spend again when we feel like we have a team worth investing in and taking to that next level, that's great. In the meantime, are you lowering ticket prices or doing anything to make people watch or inspiring people to watch? The answer is no. So to me, that doesn't feel equitable if you're a fan. So if you've lost interest, I understand. I don't blame you. It's one or the other. They have to give you something. That's part of the deal. And telling you that they're going to have a good team in 2 years is not giving you something now. They owe you something every year. Everyone. Justin's in Shrewsbury. Go ahead, Justin.
Hey, Tony. So Garrett Cole's one of the biggest sallies in sports. Obviously, he's going to, deny throwing at him, and obviously Aaron Judge is going to defend him, denying throwing at Devers on purpose. But like how Cora said, when they intentionally walked him, it made it seemingly obvious that they were doing that. And it's kind of sad that the league is, bending over backwards to go and investigate Alex Cora for throwing at Aaron Judge. But when they do it to Devers, they don't investigate it at all and they sweep it under the rug because the league loves the Yankees.
Justin, do you understand why the Red Sox are getting investigated?
Yeah, because Cora did kind of shoot himself in the foot by saying it was, settled in the sixth inning.
Bingo.
I mean, if he didn't say that, it would, probably be kind of a non-topic.
Bingo. Cora said, yeah, we took a chance. It didn't happen. Basically acknowledging that they threw at Aaron Judge in the sixth inning. Cora made a comment that opened the door for him to be investigated. Has nothing to do with the actual throwing at him. If Brian Bale had just said what every other pitcher always says, which is, it got away from me, how do they prove that it didn't? You can't say that. You can't prove that someone's lying. What do you want them to give them a polygraph?
Yes.
And frankly, I wish more people would, and I say throw at more hitters. I don't want anybody to get hurt. Can you knock someone off the plate every now and then? Would it really be horrible if someone got drilled with a fastball in the thigh or the ass or something else?
Back pocket, right at the wallet.
What's so wrong with that? Every once in a while sending a message. What is wrong with that?
Careful, David Ortiz will get mad at you again for that, for a comment like that a few years ago.
Baseball went on for decades where that was routine. Routine. Now it's been taken out to the point where nobody even throws inside and knocks a guy down anymore. Even if you don't hit him, can you throw in there and get him off the plate? What the hell's wrong with that? Jerry and Methuen. Go ahead, Jerry.
Hi. Are you there?
Yes, I am. Go ahead.
Okay. No, I was just wondering, you claim we have too many left-handed batters, so I'm fine with that. But if we do trade Casas, what would be your expectations in return?
A good starting pitcher, roughly the same age and same service time. So by that, let's call it a 25-year-old pitcher that you'd be able to keep for 4 years.
And with the Red Sox track history, I mean, they keep signing pitchers that are out of their prime, or trading pitchers like Lester that are in their prime when they're good. So do you think they would make the right decision to sign someone like that
so Jerry,
in return?
Yeah, so Jerry, that I can't promise you. but here, okay, so because again, I have my doubts too, especially with the GM that's never done the job before. But let me ask you this. Where are you going to get the pitching otherwise?
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of good prospects for the Red Sox, but I think we need to make a decision that if we're going to make a big trade like that, maybe we need to think about bringing someone like Theo back to help make us stronger in the pitching.
Okay, so Theo's now part of the ownership group. I'm sure he would have some sort of say if they asked him. I don't know if he's going to be digging in the nitty-gritty of doing all the day-to-day GM stuff anymore. If I were him, I wouldn't. But the bottom line is you don't trust them. That's what you're saying. You don't trust them to make the right decision. And I would tell you, you shouldn't. There is no track record of their success for you to trust. So I don't blame you. But this is the dilemma. This is the dilemma you're in. You have all these good players coming from the minor leagues that are getting hyped like nobody's business. Roman Anthony right now, an outfielder, who I think is 20 years old, is at AAA and is the number one prospect in baseball, according to Baseball America, which is the Bible when it comes to minor league talent. Roman Anthony is number one, the number one prospect in baseball. You have him, Casas, Marcelo Meyer, who was the number 4 pick in the draft, Kyle Teal, who was picked in the middle of the first round last year and is already a AAA. He's a left-handed hitting catcher. Wilyer Abreu, who's in the big leagues. Jaron Duran, who's in the big leagues. Christian Campbell, who bats right-handed but is a middle infielder. Vaughn Grissom, who you got from the Braves for Chris Sale, was highly regarded. We'll see if he can play. Had a horrible year this year, mostly due to injury, but has shown the ability to hit in the minor leagues. I just gave you 8, 9 prospects that they have in the system, all hitters, no pitchers, the large majority of whom hit left-handed. Some of them play the same position. Mikey Romero, who's tearing it up at Double-A or has been tearing it up at Double-A, is a left-handed hitting shortstop, just like Marcelo Meyer. You can't keep all these guys. And you're going to need some veterans in your lineup. Devers is signed. We had a caller earlier. Rayan Revere wants to keep Jaron Duran. I would trade Jaron Duran for a pitcher, but you want to move Devers to first, keep Duran, and trade Casas? You can do that. Someone's got to go. This team's going to need pitching. They can't just have all these super prospects at every position, the large majority of whom have left-handed, not have a pitcher on the mound. Last time I checked, you actually have to pitch for half the game. So where are you going to get the pitching? It was a good free agent market last offseason. You know how many guys the Red Sox got that were among the top free agent pitchers? 0. Couldn't do it. They may have wanted to, unclear. Even if they did, they didn't have a good enough team to lure them here. So how are you going to get the pitching? You're going to wait for the pitching prospects to develop all while those other kids are here and playing well? If they play well? Somebody's got to go. You got to decide who. We'll wrap it up when we come back. Got all the answers. Feels like he's wearing out the Red Sox a little bit. He's a candidate to be traded. He is. Now, will they do it, or are they just trying to kick him in the ass a little bit? Who knows? But his name's on the list. John in the car. John, what do you got?
Tony, Bob Gibson said, I'll give you half the plate. You just have to guess which one. It wouldn't be bad for one of these guys to wear one once in a while. Tony, this team is never going to go after these prospects or these elite talents anymore as long as Fenway Park's around. I'm convinced of it because they're always going to get their 2 million fans. They don't have anything to worry about now. It's become a trendy thing. Hey, you ever been to Boston? And people from Minnesota, San Diego, Seattle, wherever, and they're just going to come here and fill the park. And as long as they're making their money, what reason would they possibly have? You and I complaining aren't going to matter because we're going to watch the team until we're putting the last nail in the box. As long as they're getting that money, I don't see what changes.
So, John, you're not alone. A lot of people think this, and there is some truth to it. Fenway Park is a cash machine. Totally. 100%. And so it is as full for the most part as it's ever been, although it did drop about 500,000 in terms of attendance. I think last year was the lowest year ever under the Henry ownership group. So the attendance has come down some, but they will still draw more than most places because people will come to see the ballpark. And people will fill the ballpark. The problem is that they're not Red Sox fans anymore. They're people from somewhere else. I personally am interested in having a good team, independent of who's in the ballpark, and the ticket demand will go up. That can only benefit them if they have a good team here. So, and they have a good crowd from here, is really what I should say. But I fear that you're right. Let's see what happens this offseason. Every offseason, I keep saying this, every offseason I go in with a certain measure of hope, and then spring training shows up and they haven't really done as much as or anything that I thought they would. So, but we'll get back more on Casas tomorrow. I do want to revisit some of the things he has said during the year, and I do wonder what the motivation is for the Red Sox. Would they really trade him if they get the right deal? Or do they just want to kick him in the ass because they're disappointed with the way his year went? Anyway, Joe Murray's got you next. He'll have you for the balance of the night. My guess is a lot of football from Joe following yesterday's